Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name's Tom and the other bloke is called Shane. He's just about sorted his technology out and now we're ready to rock and roll. If you're new to the channel, we review and talk about all the highlights from the Premiership games at the weekend. We normally upload every single Monday, but Shane has had a holiday in Spain for last week, so we are going tonight, Tuesday. We're going to review all the games. And then we are going to discuss our 3 picks of the week, and that can be anything sport related. So we'll come on to that in a bit, and then we will give our predictions going into next week's fixtures. But before we jump in, how you doing, mate? Did you have a nice holiday?
Oh, not too bad, mate. Not too bad, Tom. Yeah, good holiday in San Luis, Torrevieja in Spain. 30 degrees out there, weren't bad. Nice and warm. Bit of time out in the pool, bit of sunbathing. Obviously, we did a couple of podcasts, didn't we, while we was over there? So we went international for that week. We had a couple of, I think we had Alex Leo, a coach from Hoddesdon boxing gym. So that all went quite well. So obviously, anyone that watches the video that's into your boxing, that's something to have a look on the channel when you get a couple of spare minutes to do so. But by that, everything's been quite good, Tom. You?
Yeah, well, good, mate. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind a week in Spain at the moment. Do you know what? This weather, now the clocks have changed as well, like dark by 4:30. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this time of year, mate. A bit of sun, a nice swimming pool, that would do me right now. So yeah, looking forward to going away next year already. But yeah, if you like your football and you like a bit of boxing, we've had a couple of boxers on the channel. We've had a boxing coach last week. We've got a couple of boxers coming on this week. So yeah, go and look at the other videos. And we're trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I think we're like 444. So if you want to support us, go down and subscribe. It actually means a lot and we do appreciate it. And leave a comment and tell us what you think was the best sporting moment over the last 7 days. But let's get into it, mate. Let's go through the fixtures and go for our predictions from last week.
Yeah, so if we want to start on the football results from the weekend just gone, obviously, if we start off with the Leicester-Arsenal game, I went for a 2-1 Leicester win on that. You went for a 2-2 draw. Actual result was 2-0 to Arsenal. Looking at Arsenal, watched the game, watched bits of the game. Like I said, I don't think Arsenal are firing on all cylinders at present. They don't look a particularly pretty outfit neither at the minute, but I think things are going their way in games now. Whereas maybe they weren't getting things go their way previously. 2 goals against Leicester. I think the Arsenal keeper, he played extremely well in that game. Ramsdale, he sort of kept Leicester at bay. Leicester had their opportunities, but yeah, I definitely think sort of Arsenal they're sort of grinding out results at the minute. Not pretty, but they're picking up results. And at the end of the day, it's all about the points. And as a Tottenham fan, I never like to see Arsenal pick up the points, but it seems they're doing it at the minute. So you've got to give them a little bit of, I was going to say credit, but I'm not going to give them credit. No.
I was going to say, mate, you being a Tottenham fan, you're never going to sing their praises. But I think in that game, I think they were like 2-0 up after 18 minutes. So I think it is always going to be a difficult one for Leicester to bring it back after being 2-0 down so early. And yeah, Arsenal was keeper, mate. Yeah, an absolute blinder. To be fair to Leicester, they had some good chances. They could have been 2-2 at half time, but weren't clinical enough. So yeah, Arsenal march on, and they're starting to look a little bit more consistent. They don't look great, like you say, but I think apart from the big boys, the top 4, top 3, no one's being that consistent. No one's being that consistent at the moment.
Yeah, I said that it's like pretty much gritty gooners, isn't they? They're big and gritty at the minute, and that's what they're doing. But enough said. Let's move off of Arsenal. Let's push them to the side. We've got the Burnley Brentford game was the next game, and I went for a 2-1 Brentford win. You went for a 1-1 draw. The actual score was a 3-1 to Burnley. And I remember us speaking a couple of weeks ago about Brentford having the desire, sort of like paying the big guns and sort of going out there and matching them man to man. And I think we touched on it. Can they put in the same performance when they go to places like Burnley, when they've got to fight these sort of the lesser teams? And Burnley pulled it out of the bag, really. They played quite well on the day. They sort of kept Brentford at bay. And I think that was a reality check for Brentford in many respects. Like when Brentford had come up against the big boys, it's been a reality check for the big boys that Brentford are here. I think it was like a role reversal when Brentford went to Burnley. Burnley were quite clinical, to be honest. Brentford had a couple of chances in it, but I don't know if they fancy the trip up north or not. But it was a hard one for Brentford, and but Burnley did well. I mean, Burnley have done what many clubs haven't done currently. So you've got to give credit to Burnley. You know what Dyche is going to do. He's going to get the ball over the top. I think Woods got put through on one. I think they got a corner for their second goal, and the third goal was quite a good goal for Burnley as well. So yeah, Burnley done well. I was hoping Brentford could go away to technically lesser teams and sort of pick the points up as well, but it was kind of what I imagined might happen. Could they go away and could they do it up north? And that was like the litmus test. But hopefully, do you mean it's just one of those, a bad day at the office for Brentford?
Yeah, I think that they would be looking at games like that, even though Burnley is, a tough place to go for any side, let alone Brentford. I think that they would have looked at that game fixture and thought, you know what, it's probably one of those games where we need to get a win, we need to get a draw at least. So to lose it, 3-1 in the end, not the best day at the office for them. But to be fair to Burnley, I think they needed that result. They've had a bit of a shaky start to the season as well, not managed to pick up too many wins. So I think they'd be delighted with that.
Yeah, definitely. Second game, the third game then was the Liverpool-Brighton game. I went for a 2-2 in that game, called it right. It was 2-2 in the long run. You went for a 2-0 Liverpool win. Credit where it's due to Brighton. Brighton played really well during that game. They managed to do what not many other teams have been able to do against Liverpool. I mean, they've gone 2-0 down. Lots of teams just crumbled, rolled over at that point and let Salah have a field day. But Brighton, they sort of they weren't having it. They thought, no, we'll go toe-to-toe with you. And the goals that Brighton scored were quality goals as well. So it was impressive. I thought Brighton did really well. I was going to have them as one of my picks of the week, just on performance alone, to be honest. But yeah, they did a number on Liverpool, held their own, and it was credit to themselves.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think once, Liverpool were 2-0 up, we're all thinking, like you were saying, Salah's going to go on and get another hat-trick or whatever. But I think it just goes to show at the minute that, because Liverpool drew 3-3 the other week, didn't they? They let a few goals in. I think that was against Brentford, wasn't it? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as much as they are scoring goals, obviously, beat us 5-0 last week. They do concede, a few occasionally. But I think that just shows you how crazy it is at the moment, how hard it is to predict football matches, because one week they're beating us 5-0 convincingly, we can't score against them, and then they go and draw 2-2 against Brighton. We lose to Leicester 4-2, then they go and lose to Arsenal 2-0. So hard to predict football matches at the minute, but I'm quite happy to see Liverpool drop points.
Yeah, I think it's the Premiership, isn't it? At the end of it, I think that's the thing that makes the Premiership. Week in, week out, there'll be results that you expect to go a particular way. The underdog will turn around and do something stupid and get a result. There was a couple of those, and that was the next game. To be honest, no one saw this one coming. So it was Man City Palace. I went for a 4-1 Man City win to dominate it. You went for a 3-0 Man City win. Palace pulled it out of the bag, 2-0. Got an early goal, early doors. I think 6-7 minutes in, Zaha, he got on the end of something and put the ball away. I don't know I think Laporte might have got sent off in that game, if I'm not wrong. I think did he get sent off for Zaha last man or something?
Yeah. They both went in sort of for a challenge. Zaha sort of rolled him a little bit. He was going to get away. Last man just threw himself over him. Yeah, sent off. And then, of course, your task is even harder when you're obviously down to 10 men chasing the game. But yeah, like you say, mate, they scored early on. Beautiful little finish, not massively pacey or no real power behind it, but just placement was beautiful in the corner. And yeah, like I say, a bit of a shocker, that one. We both went for a City win. Naturally, I think you would. And I think 9 times out of 10 they beat them. But I don't know. City had a few chances, but I think when they every time now they draw or they lose, it always goes back to that, how much do they miss an out-and-out striker? Not that Kane's doing much at the moment, but Yeah, and then they wrapped it up. Beautiful. Did you see the second goal?
Yeah.
Beautiful goal. Like Sahar went, good, decent little run. It was almost like he overplayed it. Then bang, bang, couple of passes, ball in the back of the net. Beautiful team goal from Palace. And being a United fan, again, not disappointed to see City drop points.
No, definitely not. Yeah, but like I say, it's just one of the things about the Premiership. You just can't see what's around the corner. I think we did see what was around the corner the next time, although for some reason I didn't call it. It was Newcastle-Chelsea. For some weird and bizarre reason, I went for a 2-2 draw. It was never going to happen. 3-0 Chelsea in the end. You went for a 3-1. You was close. You just needed the Geordies to get a goal. But that was a game where, again, the thing with Chelsea, and which is the scary thing about Chelsea, I think they're winning games and they're not even getting out of third gear. I think this is the dangerous thing about Chelsea. I think Ziyech had a goal disallowed for offside. I mean, they're not really going through they're going through the motions, but they're not sort of having to really test themselves at this minute. All the opposition they're playing, they're going in and they're strolling through. Good link-up play, good combinations, good goals, and they're just sort of churning out the results, which is probably why they're at the top at the minute. The Saudi boys, they must be looking at what they got in front of them now and just thinking, how much money have we got to pump into Newcastle to actually get somewhere? Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, but yeah, it's why I went for a draw, who knows? But yeah, it was Chelsea all day long.
I don't know, mate. I think maybe you were on holiday, maybe a bit too much sun. I'm not sure.
Sangria or something it was.
Yeah,
it must have been.
A bit too much paella, mate, when you was in Spain, or too many shandies. Who knows? But yeah, Chelsea, mate. They look good at the moment. They're going from strength to strength. Thomas Tuchel has got them playing well. Watching that game, it was like watching a training session. Newcastle had none of the ball. Chelsea were just popping it about. It took them a while to score. But when they got the first, it was just a matter of time before they scored again. And yeah, I think we all expected a Chelsea win. They did win, and yeah, I think you're right, mate. That Newcastle side need something. I did hear something about them today about a potential new manager, but for the life of me, I can't remember who. But yeah, I'm as I said before, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, though, and how much money they're going to spend, what players they're going to target. Interesting times for Newcastle. Not looking great at the minute, but 3 or 4 signings, that can be a completely different side with a new manager as well. But yeah, easy 3 points for Chelsea in the end, and I just missed off with the prediction as well.
Yeah, I think if you're a Geordie fan, I think that's what you're probably thinking. Even though the results ain't going for you at the minute, I think you've got a bundle of cash that's going to be sort of like invested in the company, and it's got to come good at some point for the Newcastle, you'd imagine. But yeah, it's a long way off, a couple of seasons. But if we go to the next game, which was the Watford Southampton, I thought Watford win this one easily. They just done Everton 5-2 the week before. They was playing like Brazilians for the last 15 minutes of that game against Everton. They're going to take it into this game and they're going to turn over Southampton. I went for a 2-1 Watford win. You went for a 1-0. Ended up being a Southampton 1-0 win. That game was it was a bit clunky, that game, if you're honest watching it. It wasn't it wasn't speciality football or anything like that. It was just, it seemed like two teams mid-table, sort of like grinding out a result. The Southampton goal was a blinding goal, lovely goal to finish it for Southampton, but it wasn't anything that got me sort of like thinking, oh, what a game this is. It was just, it was one of those.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head, mate. I watched all the highlights from the weekend for obvious reasons to come in here and talk about it, but I can't remember much from the game, so I think that sort of speaks for itself, really. But yeah, there wasn't a lot in it. Again, it just shows you 1 week, they go and score 5 against Everton and can't score in the next one. Madness, mate. But yeah, not loads to stand that one, to be honest. I can't even remember the highlights. But I want to get on to the United-Tottenham game. I'm desperate to talk about that one. So what's the next one?
Which is what was coming up to be honest. So we're coming up to the Tottenham Man U game. And do you know what? After that game, I do remember getting a little voice note come up on my phone, and it was like a very eager Tom, so like how happy he was to sort of talk about this game on the Monday night podcast. And I was thinking to myself at that point when I heard that voice, I was thinking, you know what, God, I ain't looking forward to this. But then there was a turn of events that sort of happened over the period of time, and it's sort of like it's made me feel not too bad. But we'll talk about the football first, because that's the main thing. That's what we're here to talk about. So we'll talk about the result. It was I went for a 3-2 Tottenham win, again thinking with my heart rather than my head. Obviously, the game against West Ham the week before, we managed to go the second half without taking a shot. We followed that.
You're getting good at that.
We was consistent with that, so we took that into the next game against Man U. We went through the whole game without having a shot. I don't think it's happened in 8 or 13 years or something. And
terrible.
So you obviously went for a 3-1. So if we'd managed to find the net, you would have been bang on the money again. But the game was I was talking to my boy about the game and about this Man U, Tottenham, Kane. Why do I think we're not performing so well? And I thought to myself, with Kane, I was thinking, if I had some way to analyse, or if there was like a map to show me the kind of runs he was making last season for midfielders, there's part of me thinking, he's not making the same runs. He's not giving midfielders the opportunity to find that pass. And it was almost a bit like, for me, Kane at the minute he's busy making himself look busy, but without giving any end product. And I think it's almost a sly way of going about your job without doing your job, but your manager and your director not being able to say to you, oh look, you're not performing well. It seems like he's on the field, he's not making the runs. It then doesn't give the opportunities for midfielders to find him. If a midfielder's got to find a centre forward or a front man, that front man's got to make a yard of space for himself to receive the ball. And if he's not prepared to make that yard of space, then there's always going to be an issue. So I think it deflects a lot of it from Kane. It then looks like there's no creative players. But I think sometimes if that person up front isn't willing to make those runs for you, then you're going to have issues. You're not going to score goals. I can see that you like this conversation, the way it's going, but I think that's what's happened. But we know that's going to change shortly. So I'll let you talk about your Man U bit, and then I'll talk about the rest.
Well, to be fair, mate, when you were talking about sort of making yourself look like you're busy at work and that, it reminded me of you when we was in the office. You'd always be sort of like lingering around, like acting like you were doing something, but in reality, you're not doing much. So you got something in common with old Caney there. But no, you called it last week, to be fair, mate. You said, if you lose again, then Nuno's probably going to walk. Obviously, that happened. I know from previous podcasts, obviously, you've got your source somewhere. We don't know who it is, but obviously clearly giving you the right information, mate. I just think when you've got someone like Harry Kane in your side, and we all know how good he is, arguably one of the, the best strikers in the world, even still, But I think when you've got someone like that in the dressing room, it's hard for us to sit here and really say too much because we're not there. We don't know. But he clearly wanted a move away from Tottenham in the summer. It didn't happen. We all know that. And when you're in a dressing room and things are not going well and your main man isn't scoring, and who knows what his attitude's like, around the sort of training, the training grounds, etc. We all know that he didn't turn up for training, back in the summer for the first week. I just think as well, like at times he looks disinterested. Son, to be fair to him, he's trying to make things happen, but not really much success at the moment. He had that one chance he needed to flick over the top, just couldn't capitalise on it. And to so many games, mate, where you're not even having a shot. Sometimes you think like just Kane drop back a bit, have a crack from outside of the box. But he's not Salah either. He's not going to pick up the ball deep and take 3 or 4 players on and score. It's just not who Harry Kane is. But I just think it's I don't know. It's difficult because I think Nuno, after 4 months in charge, how much can you really impose your philosophy or your way of playing in 4 months? That's difficult. I do feel for him a little bit. He's obviously going to be compensated quite nicely, so I don't feel for him that much. But yeah, you look quite easy to break down. The goals we scored, mate. You could have taken a few double-decker buses through your defence, mate. It was pretty bad. But again, yeah, you called it, mate. You said it was almost like, you know, the United boss and Tottenham boss were sort of playing for their jobs, if you like. I don't think Solskjaer would have gone. It seems like he's still got a lot of support, but I think the writing was on the wall for Nuno, and you know that was just the nail in the coffin for him at the weekend. But Ronaldo again, mate, pops out of another goal to get it going. A Rashford, good little finish as well. So 3 points against the Tottenham, mate. Let's go.
Yeah, so I knew you'd be happy with the result, and to be honest, like after I got the little voice message, I was like, oh, I've got to listen to Tom. I know he's going to like just love it. He's going to crack on and bang on about it. But then with what happened, I was like thinking, do you mean with obviously Nuno getting the sack and everything, and then there was obviously the news about Spurs possibly going for Conte, and I was thinking, oh, here we go. This we've had this in the summer. They're talking about Conte, and we're going to end up with Fonseca or someone, but it's all come good. Conte's come in, and part of me is thinking like, okay, we lost that game to Man U, but if someone had said to me prior to that game, right, you've got two options on the table. You can either take a 3-0 win against Man U, or you take a 3-0 loss, but you pick Conte up as a manager. What one of those two would I have went for? And to be honest, I would have went for the loss and took Conte as a manager, because I think going forward, it can only be a good thing for Spurs at the end of the day. And I wonder if it had gone the other way, if Nuno had got the 3-0 or a 5-0 win or something, and the pressure was on Solskjaer, would Man U have preferred to take Conte at that point? Do you know what I mean? So there was part of me that obviously I was sort of like hurt about the result, but in the aftermath and everything that's happened after it, I've found the old Tottenham kit, the retro kit. I've got the collars up like Conte, and I'm buzzing. So it was a weird one. I was expecting being like gloom, dying, like, but now I'm quite happy. But
well, to be fair, mate, after I sent you that little voice note, I didn't hear from you for about 3 days, so I knew you was a little bit upset. But I just think what's different from the summer to now. You know, clearly they were in talks with him before they sacked him. That sort of seems to be like Daniel Levy's way. You know, he's normally got someone lined up. But yeah, I know what you're saying, mate. You know, you've lost 3-0. Nuno's gone. Conte's in. So in the whole, you'll take that. You know, he's a serial winner. He's been at some big clubs and won trophies. Done well at Chelsea, Inter. So no, yeah, interesting times for Tottenham, mate. It will be good to see what they do. But yeah, happy with the 3 points, mate. We needed it, to be fair. But we need to go on now and win 7-8 games on the bounce. You know, it's not just about beating Tottenham. You know, United, historically, this time of the year, go on a really good run over Christmas and look good. But yeah, we need some consistency, win a few games on the bounce, and just get our season really started now.
Yeah, that was my only concern. Was like beating we've got to say a poor Tottenham side at that point. Was that sort of like papering over any cracks? Do you mean that's what we need to find out? Did it just paper over cracks and a couple of games on, we have a couple of bad results and it's all ollie out again? Or like you say, do we find a bit of consistency and sort of like start pushing on? I suppose the proof will be in the table in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. I suppose that's what we'll have to look at that point. But we'll leave the Man U Tottenham. I'm happy. You're happy. I think everyone's a winner in this round. The next game then was the Norwich Leeds.
Still can't celebrate a Norwich win.
Yeah, but I was about to say, surprisingly, no one backed Norwich, but you did back Norwich to do a sneaky little 1-0. I went for a 3-1 Leeds, and it ended up being 2-1 to Leeds in the end. It just Norwich couldn't hit a barn door, to be honest. I mean, they got the one goal in there, but the amount that went wide and were just off target. Again, it's like it's confidence. Football is confidence at the end of the day. If you're scoring goals and you're picking up points, the likelihood is you have an effort, you get it on target, you feel good about yourself. And it just seems at the minute sort of like Norwich know where they are. We've already said last week that that's them finished. They're going out. They are going back to the Championship. But the Norwich players owe it to their Norwich fans. I don't know what they get paid, 50 grand a week, 100 grand a week. They still got to go out and they've got to perform. They've got to do something. Whether Farker loses his job at some point, he did well from last season. He sort of got him back up, but again, it's a small club. They haven't got no superstars, to be honest. What players they did have, people took from them, and Leeds had the quality in at the end of the day. They had Rafiana, he scored a goal. The Rodriguez, he scored a second goal. So it was what won it at the end of the day was quality. Do you mean it wasn't like Leeds had outperformed them throughout the game? There was just a couple of moments of quality that Leeds had, and Leeds got the result.
I think, I think whatever way you dress it up, there's 20 teams that compete in the Premiership. Some of them are just in there to really make up the numbers. I just think that Norwich just ain't good enough. You can analyse it to the cows come home, but they're just not good enough. They can't put the ball in the back of the net. They can't keep a clean sheet. It's all well and good getting out of the Championship into the Premiership, but they just can't seem to build from there. Whether they need to look at a new manager, who knows? He's clearly maybe not the man. He can't get them to compete in the Premiership. However, I want Norwich to get a win. The week they do, I will come on in with a pint and celebrate their 3 points, because they've got to win at some point. Whether it's a little bit of luck, they might get a rubber to green one week. Who knows? They might get a dodgy VAR decision. But yeah, I think you said earlier, quality. I think that's what it comes down to. They're just not good enough. And I said last week, if it was a boxing match, the towel would have probably been in by now. But onwards and upwards for Leeds. They'll take that 3 points. Again, it'll be a game they'd look at and think, we need to be picking up points against Norwich, as they did. Fair play to Leeds, mate.
Yeah, definitely. The next game there was the Villa-West Ham game. I thought, Villa could hold something at home. I went for a 1-1 Villa. You went for a 2-1 West Ham win, so you pick up the points on that one. Score it at the end of the day, Villa 1, West Ham 4. And I don't know what you can say about West Ham at the minute. I mean, we've said week in, week out, they're performing well. They're a well-oiled machine. They've got like a structure. They are actually going to grounds now, and they're expecting to win games. And I think I can remember there was talk about David Moyes last season, and I can remember people saying potentially he could have been voted manager of the year for what he'd done at West Ham, from where he took them previously to where they were last season. And he's followed it on this season as well. I don't think really anyone expected West Ham to be performing the way they are. Maybe if you was an ardent West Ham fan, you've been watching them week in, week out, you might have had a little bit more insight into the likes of me, a Spurs fan, because actually I ain't on West Ham all day and all week, but they are playing well. And to go and cut Villa open the way they did and put 4 goals past them up at Villa is no mean feat. Do you mean clubs have gone up to Villa and struggled, and West Ham they went there, made it light work. They made it was easy. Do you mean they made Villa look like a Championship side? Yeah,
West Ham are a solid outfit at a minute. I think David Moyes' second time in charge. I think we've spoken about West Ham a lot over the last few weeks because they are playing some good football at the moment. But I think we touched upon it earlier. There's a lot of teams at the minute are inconsistent. You don't know what they're going to do one week to the next. But when you think of West Ham, what comes into my mind is consistency. David Moyes has got them playing well, difficult team to beat. And I think after last season, if you're a West Ham fan, you're probably thinking, what's this season going to be like? All the big teams have gone out and spent money. Are we going to be able to, repeat that? But so far, so good. Up to, I think, 4th in the league. Look good, beating Villa 4-1 convincingly. So fair play to West Ham. If you're a West Ham fan at the minute, you're pretty pleased.
Yeah, it's all down to their tactical adaptability. They're playing in a specific way. It seems like everyone in that team knows what their job is. They know when they're pressing. They know when to get tight, when to condense, when to drop off. It just seems like he's got them completely playing exactly the way he wants to. Whatever he's doing on the training ground, week in, week out, they're obviously taking on board, and they're putting it into practice. Do you mean they're going on that pitch and week in, week out, they are doing what they're meant to do. So, yeah.
He's been round the block, and David Moyes, he was at Everton for a long time. He went to a few other clubs, didn't quite work out. For me, he's really starting to sort of build his reputation back up that he had, from Everton that took him to United. But yeah, fair play to him. I think, again, he's got him playing really well, and good luck to him, mate. But it'd be interesting to see what they do next week and where they are, over Christmas.
Yeah, defo. And then the final game from the weekend was the Wolves Everton game. I went for an Everton win, 2-1. I was thinking, Everton are going to bounce back from that 5-2 defeat from Watford, and they'll actually turn up for that game. You went for a 2-0 Everton win, and from the highlights that I saw, Wolves looked like well worthy of the win. They actually played really well. There was good football, good passing, good movement. They opened Everton up on a couple of occasions. Jimenez obviously got his goal again. I think there was Godfrey, the left back or something. I think he went to play a back pass to Pickford from the halfway line or something, but Jimenez got on to and put that one away. But I think Wolves were actually they were worth their win, to be honest. And it's weird, like Everton have got Ancelotti there. He's sort of like they've got decent
now, isn't it?
Is it? They got what?
Benitez now at Everton, isn't it?
Oh, Benitez, yeah, sorry. They got decent players, yeah. It's this Sangris. It's got to me head, isn't it? Yeah, got to me head. But yeah, Ancelotti's Real Madrid. But yeah, Benitez is there, and he's obviously got a squad there. He's got the players there. He's got a team there. But for whatever reason, things aren't working out particularly well for him. And I mentioned the fact that it is Benitez. If Everton have a couple more bad results like this, I think they might have a few of the boo boys actually sort of turning against him, obviously because of his Liverpool connections and everything. But yeah, Wolves were sort of value for money. I think their manager, he's beginning to sort of. It must have been quite hard. You go in as a new manager to a club, and obviously Nuno's found out it's hard to go into a new club, stamp your authority, get the team playing a particular way. Maybe with Wolves, it might just take a bit of time for them to adapt. Maybe they've turned a corner. Or maybe they just played a poor team in Everton.
Yeah, I think I was thinking sort of the similar lines to you. After being beat 5-2 the previous week by Watford, you're thinking surely they're going to bounce back. It's almost like a bit of a reality check. But yeah, they're going to lose again. Didn't look great at all. I think you're right. Wolves deserved the 3 points. But football is a results business, and you have too many bad results, and the fans get on your back. I think it was. I think a lot of Everton fans, when he first got the job, weren't overly happy with, like you say, his Liverpool connections. But it will, it's interesting to see what Everton do. Maybe they'll go out and spend it in January. But it seems like to me sometimes as well they expect to be higher than maybe the quality will let them be in the league. I don't know. It's just a bit of a weird one really with Everton at the minute. But yeah, let's see if they bounce back.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like I say, with Everton, I think that at least with Everton, their owners, they got money. They will back them in the market if need be. So I suppose that's the one thing all the Everton fans have sort of like got hope for, that maybe January they do go out, they do purchase someone to come in and sort of bolster the team. But until that point, they are, let's say, a bit hit and miss at the minute. And like I say, 2-3 more poor results, and Benitez may go the same way that Nuno goes, to be honest. But that's the football. That was the roundup for the week. After the weekend's football results, I'll just let you know what the score is points-wise between me and yourself, Tom. Last week it was 25-23 to me. This week it's 28-26, so the same point still in it, still the 2-point difference, but it's still tight. I think what I've got to start doing, I've got to look at these predictions with my head rather than my heart sometimes, so maybe I might get a few more in the bag. But
mate, it's so difficult at the moment to predict football matches. Honestly, like I used to have the occasional bet, and you'd think, oh yeah, that team will probably do that. But at the minute, honestly, it's so difficult. The Everton results, Arsenal results, Leicester results. You sort of think, oh, that will happen, but it never seems to. I think the most I've got is a couple of predictions right on 1 week. But that's why it makes it so interesting. It's only the real big boys like I was going to say Liverpool, but even them, they drop points. Chelsea look good. City drop points. But yeah, that's why we love it. Best league in the world. And if you are listening, of course you are, go down and leave a comment. Let us know who you support and what you think at the moment and who you might think will win the league. We'd like to hear from you.
Definitely. So that was the football roundup. Then obviously we will go with our 3 predictions or our 3 picks of the week, should I say. Obviously anything sports related. A couple of things obviously have happened this week. So for me, one of the key picks of the week, obviously Conte going to Spurs. I didn't see this last weekend. There was at no point did I think last week I'd be sitting here today thinking, telling us Conte is the new manager at Tottenham. So for what that's going to do for Spurs, do you mean the likes of Dele Alli, Winks, Dyer, all the people that aren't really sort of working that hard, I think they're going to realise what it's like. They won't be able to go and sort of squirrel behind the manager's back this time. Do you mean they probably ousted Nuno with like all the bad talk and everything? They won't get away with it. Conte will just shift them out. If you ain't capable, you don't work, that's your time at Spurs now finished, I think. So that was one pick of the week for me. The second one, it was actually the Brighton performance. I didn't expect Brighton to sort of be able to hold on and perform the way they did against Liverpool. Like I said, too many teams so far have played Liverpool, gone down a couple of goals and rolled over. This time, sort of Brighton, they rolled up the sleeves and they got on with it. They played attractive football. They scored 2 quality goals, and I think that was my second pick. The third pick was boxing related, and it was after listening to the Anthony Joshua interview on IFL. So we've obviously spoken on many occasions between ourselves, Tom. We've spoken with professional boxers. We've spoken to coaches about it, and we've asked for their opinion and what do we think the issue was with Anthony Joshua. I wondered, did he suspect his own chin? Everyone's got their own sort of opinion, and finally he come out and from the interview that I saw with the IFL, he was pretty much saying that for the last couple of fights, he has tried to adopt a hit, not get hit mentality. And what he's basically said off the back of that is that, okay, it's all good and well to be able to try and go around 12 rounds and not get hit and duck and sort of fight behind the jab. But he had to come out and said, look, he realises that he does have to let the lever go, and he does have to go into what he was previously. He knows that there are going to be points and fights where he's got to go in, he's got to take a couple of shots and give his heavy shots. And I think that was something nice to hear, because I haven't heard it. There's been so many opinions, and it was actually nice to hear what was going through his head, what he's been thinking of over the last 18 months. Whether he puts it into play or not is a different matter. But it was, I mean, just to hear what was going on behind, that was a pick for me, to be honest.
Yeah, do you know what? That one's a really strange one with the Anthony Joshua interview. I watched it for the duration of it, and Coogan said to him, so going into the fight, what was the game plan, or something along those lines? And he's like, oh, you have to ask my team. And he was like, well, surely you would have been in an agreement with your team. And he's like, again, you have to ask the team. It baffles me, because this is the elite level of boxing. This is your belts are on the line. Anthony Joshua, at Wembley, not Wembley, your place, 60,000 people watching you. And for me, it just sort of said that he didn't trust the game plan, or he just completely done his own thing. And it was like on the ring walk, he was talking to people. He's even asking people about the fight, like Clifton Mitchell. And then I watched an interview today on the True Geordie podcast, and Eddie Hearn was on there. and he's been quite open about it actually, and I didn't think he would say that much on it, but for me, he seems like quite pissed off with it. Really, just seems like Anthony Joshua maybe needs to just have one man in the corner. Like when you watch that fight, I think it was in the later rounds, his team were going, "Oh yeah, brilliant, Josh, brilliant, Josh." It's like you're losing the fight, mate. You know, Usyk, I think, won like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He won the championship rounds quite comfortably. And in the corner, Joshua's corner are telling him, brilliant. He's losing the fight. And I don't get it as well, because in the interview, Anthony Joshua, on one hand was saying, the learning's done, and then he was going, I want to learn. He's been out to America, around all the gyms, all the coaches. I think there's maybe too many people in his ear telling him what he needs to do. But for me, I think that he's obviously going to get someone else on board. And he said, I think something like whether that fits in with Rob McCracken, he doesn't know because of his other commitments. I think he's quite heavily involved with the GB setup. So it's interesting times for Anthony Joshua. I think when you're at this stage of your career, you need to be settled, and you can't be going into a fight against Usyk unsure of the game plan, and against that level of opposition, you need to get it right, because if you're not sure, you're going to lose. And when you're fighting someone like Usyk, you can't take a couple of rounds off. He fought Pulev, didn't he? And he's quite robotic, a big guy. Like you said before, when AJ's got someone that just stands in front of him, that's a perfect opponent. But when you've got someone who's light on their toes that can move as well as Usyk, you need to have a game plan, and you need to be comfortable with it as well. And I think that he's clearly got quite a big team, but maybe just needs to really look at it, get someone on board that's going to, really direct him in the right way. But yeah, it was strange, that interview, because I didn't get a lot of it. When Coogan asked him about the game plan, and he just says, "Ask the team." I don't get that. Surely, Anthony Joshua's the main man. He has his coaches, but surely he has the sort of the final say. And whether he doesn't agree with something or not, surely that's got to be spoken about before you get to the fight. But yeah, that was a good interview, mate. It was good to actually see him do one as well, because he doesn't do too much. So to get Coogan on there and do the interview, it was nice to see him talk.
That's what I like. That's like I was saying, but it's from what he said, it's whether he puts it into action now. Because I can understand if you're 16, 17, 18 stone getting hit by someone of that weight, it's going to hurt. Do you mean the likelihood you could get knocked out if you get hit clean? I understand the point where he's saying you don't want to get hit too many times, but then I think what he had to understand is that what he does is he finishes people off, and unless he gets in there and gets involved, he's not going to finish someone off. What he proved to himself was he can do 12 rounds, but he can't do 12 rounds and win. So
no, he's not.
What he worked it out.
Yeah, I've said it so many times. For me, Anthony Joshua, if it goes 12 rounds, then he's probably gonna lose. Against Usyk, definitely. We all know what he'd done against Ruiz in the rematch, but I think after Ruiz beat him, he went in there every tackle in Mexico, didn't he? He was in no fit shape to fight. But I think Anthony Joshua in the rematch, I personally feel like he needs to hurt him early, slow him down a little bit. When you've got someone that's so nimble, so good on their feet, you need to slow them down, lean all over them. Again, I know it's easy for us to say sitting at home watching it, and again, take nothing away from Usyk. It was a brilliant performance, and give credit where credit's due. But I feel like if Anthony Joshua goes in there with the right game plan, he can definitely beat him. But again, makes it a really intriguing rematch.
Yeah, defo. But yeah, that was my 3 picks, to be honest. So yeah, and your 3 picks were?
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. So my first sporting highlight over the last 7 days was the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher fighting at the O2 Saturday night. This bloke is outside of the ring, absolute gentleman. But when he steps in that ring, he's an absolute animal, mate. He's only 4-0, and the way the crowd get behind him, the atmosphere he generates is electric. He's not been involved in boxing for years and years and years. He's not got like a massive amateur background. I think he only had less than 10 fights as an amateur. I think he had a big rugby background, went to university in Exeter. So he's got a big following in Essex. He's got a big following in Exeter. And I think after Saturday night, you know, all over the country. But his old man is massively behind him. He's like the leader of the Romford Bull Army. He goes out and sells his tickets. I think he sold over I think it was something like 1,400 tickets off his own back for that fight. So, you know, tens of thousands of pounds. And when you think of that as well, you know, you think of some local football teams, they can't even get that sort of capacity for a whole you know, club. So to get one man who's only 4-0 to generate so much support is absolutely fantastic. For me, he stole the show. He was there. He was fighting really well. We hurt him early, stopped him in the second round. Second round. But yeah, looked brilliant for it. But yeah, it looks like it comes from, you know, really, really nice family. Again, gentleman out of the ring, but you put him in the ring, he's an animal. But yeah, really look forward to following his career and seeing what he does, and being a fellow person who's from Essex. All the best to him.
And the second pick?
Second pick. So I was waiting for your response there, mate. Second pick, Ronaldo's goal. Was just, I think, like you were saying earlier, I think recently, you know, he has sort of paid over the cracks with coming up with a few winners. But I think just that goal, it could have been anyone scoring that, but it was him that scored it. Just a ball over the top, lovely finish. The angle was against him. So, yeah, brilliant. The third one was the sacking of your former manager, Nuno. I think 4 months in the job, it doesn't give you, a long time to get your feet under the table. And he took over a team where Harry Kane didn't want to be there, so you had to take on that. You know, there's taking over a new club that are not doing overly well is difficult on its own. But when you're taking over a club where your top goal scorer has tried to make a move over the summer, is never going to be easy. So they were my 3 picks, mate, over the last week. Good
picks and all as well, to be honest. But it's interesting at the end of the day. Like I say, all the picks, do you mean that you can think of? I mean, if anyone out there is watching, if they think there was something that we missed out during this week just gone by, or there's something that's on the horizon that we should be thinking about, then I say put that in the comments. Obviously subscribe, let us know what you think, and we'll obviously potentially pick up on some of those topics as well, because I mean, we don't see everything that's going on out there. And if there are people out there watching, you've got something you want to talk about or you think's worthy of a mention, then obviously let us know in the comment section, and we can obviously always go through those topics as well. More than happy to do that with Tom. I'm sure Tom is.
Absolutely, yeah, no, of course. We on the channel, we do predominantly talk about boxing and football, but if there's any sports out there where someone feels like it's worth a mention, go and let us know in the comments, and we'll definitely check it out and bring it up on the next video.
Defo. So predictions then for next weekend, and I say I'm thinking with my proper football head now. I'm not going with my art and I'm going for the proper results this time. So we got Southampton Villa, Southampton at home, and Southampton are winning that one 2-1 easy.
I'm going to go 1-0.
1-0. Big game, this one, isn't it? Manchester derby at Man U, Man City. I'm going to be a bit cheeky here, and I'm going to go for a similar Liverpool result. I'm going to go for Man U 1, Man City 4.
I'm going to go 2-1 United. City there for the taking at the moment.
Right. Brentford, Norwich. Brentford at home. Norwich will be thinking to themselves, come on, let's turn up. This is Brentford. These are the Championship boys. We've got the opportunity to get a result here. And I'm going to go for Brentford 3-1.
I've got to back my Norwich, haven't I? I want to get on here with a pint when they get a win. I'm going to go 1-0 Norwich. Come on.
1-0 to Norwich. Chelsea, Burnley. The Chelsea machine at home against Burnley, not out of third gear, 2-0 win.
Yeah, I was thinking 2-0. Yeah, I'll go with you there, 2-0, mate.
Next game, Palace Wolves. Palace at home. Palace off the back of the Man City win. Wolves the Leeds win. Vieira, Palace, 2-1 Palace.
2-1. I like my draws. I'm going to go 2-all.
2-all draw. I can see myself picking up about 11 points next weekend. I can feel it in my bones. Next one, we've got Brighton, Newcastle. Brighton at home. Potter's Army, Potter's Blue and White Army, 3-1 to the Brighton.
Yeah, Newcastle look pretty bad at the moment. Brighton coming off a good result against Liverpool. I don't know, 2-0 Brighton.
2-0 Brighton. Then we've got Arsenal, Watford. Arsenal at home. Mr. Sissoko against the Arsenal. 2-1 Arsenal win. Oh, that hurts saying that. I don't think no, let's swap that. Let's go. Let's go 2-1 Watford win. Come on, the Watford.
I'm thinking 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1. Everton, Tottenham. Conte's first game away at Everton. Benitez, Everton struggling. Wave of optimism with Tottenham. Conte prowling up and down the touchline. 3-1 Tottenham win. Harry Kane hat-trick.
I'm going to go 3-0 Tottenham.
Let's have it. Leeds, Leicester. Leeds at home. Leeds against Leicester. Leicester off a couple of bad results recently. I think they go away. Vardy getting behind Leeds. Leeds will push too high. Leicester, Vardy's in behind. We go big scoring games. 3-1 Leicester.
3-1 Leicester. That's a tricky one to call. I think it'll be a really open game. I think there'll be a few goals in that. Do you know what? I'm going to put my neck on the line. I'm going to go 3-3.
3-3, that's a big result, that is. And then the final one, and it probably looks like it might be one of the games of the weekend. West Ham at home to Liverpool. Who would have thought you'd say that at the beginning of the season? West Ham, the machine, Liverpool away. 2-2.
2-2. Do you know what? I want West Ham to do them. I like West Ham at the moment. You know, they're quietly going about their business, and you know, even though people know they're doing well, you know, there's a lot of focus on the big boys, as there always is. I'll go 2-1 West Ham. 2-1
West Ham. And that is the results from last weekend, the 3 picks of the week, and all predictions done so far for the week to come. So that's us pretty much nailed everything again, Tom, as usual.
Yeah, no, perfect, mate. I think I would just like to add, again, for anyone listening on this channel, we will talk about the results every single Monday. It's been a little bit all over the place last couple of weeks. I've had issues. Shane was on holiday. But going forward, it should be every Monday night, and then we have guests on the channel, boxers, etc. We've got a couple more coming up this week, which we're looking forward to. So what's that, tomorrow night, Shane, and Friday? We've got a couple more coming on.
Tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, it's a busy week.
Have you got a heavyweight and a middleweight?
Sorry?
Have you got a heavyweight and a middleweight?
I think the chat we got on tomorrow, I think he's a cruiserweight. I'm going to do a bit of research tomorrow throughout the day to prepare for that one. And then Friday, got a middleweight, I believe. But again, obviously going to do a bit of research before we get them on. But yeah, no, it's good, mate. I've been quite taken back, really, the amount of people that actually want to come on. You know, we started this podcast really just chatting about the football. We was going to do a few predictions for the boxing, post-fight, pre-fight, etc. But, you know, I've reached out to a few people, but, you know, people are sort of contacting us now about coming on. So, yeah, no, it's all good. We just getting the time, mate. Sometimes it doesn't feel like there's enough hours in the day to get these people on. But yeah, obviously, we'd rather it that way than, you know, scratching around, not being able to get people on. So I'm looking forward to it. And going back to Johnny Fisher as well, I'm in contact with his old man at the moment as well about coming on. So if we can get him on as well, that'd be quality.
Would be quality. That would be quality and all.
All right, then, mate. Well, I'll let you crack on. I know that you're back at work tomorrow, aren't you?
Back at work tomorrow, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got to go and have me 2-day COVID test before I go start. You know, you come back from holiday, you got to go have a 2-day test or something 2 days after. There's meant to be one 8 days, but I don't think we have to do that one now. But it's such a grind, isn't it? I mean, you should be able to go on holiday, just get your passport, go, crack on and come back. None of this palaver, but it's what it is, isn't it? COVID times.
Did you have a pool where you was away?
Do what?
Did you have a swimming pool?
Yeah.
Did you get in it?
Not much. I'm not much for swimming, to be honest. I let all the boys and the missus do the swimming. I'm not one for water.
I could just imagine you floating around with your Lilo, mate. You know, with a cocktail or something, enjoying the sunshine.
Yeah, the cocktail, the sunshine, the lounge in bed beside the pool. But yeah, that was about it. You know, I'm not one for jumping in.
I know. When you was away, I was like, "I'll send me a photo," and I think you sent me a picture of a plant or something. I was like, "Where's the?" I was going to message you back, go, "Mate, where's the pool and all that?" You must have just got up and went like the first thing you saw.
Yeah, that's what I see from the sun lounge. I just went, "Oh, there you go."
I was thinking like, "Where's the pool and all that, mate?" But I know, I'm trying to get hold of you sometimes. I'll just leave it. But anyway, mate, thanks again for your time. I'll let you crack on, and I'll have to wake our editor up now. She's probably fallen asleep to get this video sorted.
Pleasure as usual, Tomo. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow at some point. All the best.
Laters. And say, how's the IT man? Is he all right?
You all right, Luke? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's still with us. But yeah, adios then, mate. I'll catch up with you soon, yeah?
Laters, mate. Ta-ra.
See you later.